Take your time. I'll wait. It's not like ancient Egypt is going anywhere.
And I lied, and everything seems to run smoothly. Oh, that's interesting. Hello everyone, it's Sunday, and I'm gonna do I can't call it a cleanup stream, can I? Educational stream. What we will learn today then? Guess we can go from here, do all these and go there. How about that? We've done a hell of a lot of tours already. Kitty? No kitty. Meow. Meow. Hi, Brandon. How are ya? Should probably take my mount, shouldn't I? I'm good as well. A little bit tired, but I don't allow myself to blame for that. Hello, Jon. I'm not gonna argue. I'm not in the mood.
If you have some time,
Audible.
check out Alexandria.
Of course it is.
It's one of the greatest cities in antiquity.
Have you tried refreshing, Brendan? Sneferu.
Welcome to Sneferu's first pyramid.
I'm not grumpy.
With the long reign of Sneferu, the first king of the 4th dynasty, the most brilliant and creative period began for the construction of funerary monuments in Egypt. Funerary monument design moved from the step pyramid to the smooth-faced pyramid, testament to the evolution of the practices of construction. The first attempt at this design was the Pyramid of Meidum.
Yeah, the Twitch app is a bit odd. I mean, it works for me most of the time, so I don't know why you guys always have problems. Oh, Brendan.
While Sneferu's monument started as a 7-stepped pyramid, it was later altered into an 8-stepped structure. The final phase of construction saw the steps filled out and an outer casing applied to achieve a smooth surface.
That's cool, I guess. It's yellow for me, John.
The smooth dressing of the walls did not provide sufficient bonding, however, and the outer casing did not rest on sound foundations. As a result, the bases of the 4 outer buttress walls gave way, causing the walls to slide down and collapse. While the Meidum Pyramid was abandoned due to design flaws, it showcased other innovations that would impact all future pyramid designs.
Huh. Egyptian breakfast service of Napoleon I, also known as a breakfast service of the Emperor. 1809 to 1810. Oh, you did it, Brendan! Congratulations.
As well as the smooth sides, it was the first time a ceremonial pavement was built, leading from the valley to the temple of the pyramid. Another innovation was that of the funerary chamber, which was no longer at the bottom of a well, but rather above ground level. This change signaled the beginning of the 3-bedroom system.
Thank you for the host, Tonksy. Yeah, you can't really hold on to valuable objects if you're short on cash, yeah. I guess. It's a shame. Which is a shame. This is a bent pyramid, right? Because it's bent. Yeah, I'm not. It's not like I'm shaming you specifically. I'm saying it's universal. Thank you for the hosts, Dougie and Johnny.
Welcome to the Bent Pyramid of Dashur.
Yeah, well, I have no idea who that is, John.
After the construction of the Meidum Pyramid failed, Sneferu transferred his residence and the official necropolis to Dashur. There he began construction on his second attempt at a funerary monument. The resulting structure, known as the Bent Pyramid, is the only one of its shape in Egypt.
You did? When I played Sherlock Holmes, because there was a guy with similar name. Yes, the Bent Pyramid.
Though the pyramid also proved unstable and was abandoned, it marked a technical and architectural breakthrough. Heralding an important design transition, the Bent Pyramid displays a shift from the step pyramid to a functional smooth-sided pyramid.
This is a step pyramid of Chaucer. Hey.
The Bent Pyramid was unique in having 2 separate entrances, one on the northern face and another on the western face. The chamber of this pyramid was too small for a human burial. It was probably meant for the burial of a statue designated to house the Ka, the vital spirit of the deceased king.
Interesting. Yes, it's a bent pyramid, John. No need to make it nasty.
With the bent pyramid, architects successfully experimented with a completely new idea: to build the pyramid with a core of huge stones settled on a progressive horizontal design. This way, each construction phase could be completed in a single stage, allowing the architect complete control over every design element. Unfortunately, these precautions did not prevent sagging or cracks in the interior rooms of the pyramid. Sneferu abandoned the monument and began the construction of yet another pyramid.
Does it have any relation with the word bender, Jon? Then I know what it is.
Don't forget, you can still use photo mode at any time.
Yes, he did. Indeed, Ooh, over there we learn about Natron, because this is a Natron mine. The Red Pyramid. Hello, Mart. Welcome to the street. Yes, I know. Hi, Tonksy. It's going well. We're learning about some more pyramids today. Climber. I mean, casually walk up the kind of steep hillock.
Welcome to the Red Pyramid of Dashur.
Nice. It's a good game, in my opinion.
The Red Pyramid was built 2 kilometers to the north of the Bent Pyramid. It was so named due to the reddish limestone used in its construction. The Red Pyramid reached a height of 105 meters. While the ground level of the Red Pyramid is lower than that of the Bent Pyramid, its height is virtually the same. The task of making the pyramid a geometrical, true flat-face pyramid brought about yet another new design concept: the use of casing blocks.
I think that educational stuff in this is pretty extensive.
The descending corridor of the pyramid, which opens to the north, arrives at ground level, where 2 almost identical spectacular chambers with high ceilings are aligned north to south and connected by a short horizontal passage. In the south wall of the second chamber, accessed by a staircase, another corridor leads to the final chamber, which is built within the masonry of the pyramid itself and aligned east to west.
Now, John, do you know if these pyramids still exist or are they gone?
The annexes of the Red Pyramid consist of a small funerary temple located to the east. A causeway presumably ran due east from the temple, but it has yet to be excavated.
So even here they still have stuff to uncover. Yeah, I get that, but
The Red Pyramid was
faulty
structurally
construction
sound,
can do
and
stuff
once
too.
finished, marked a remarkable design milestone. Finally successful in his attempts to build himself a suitable funerary monument, Sneferu knew his future beyond death was assured.
Yeah. That too, Matt. So we basically just learned the history of the pyramids, or design of them. They went from step pyramid to the bent pyramid to this design, which then was used to the pyramids in Giza. Why am I running this way? Yeah, it's abundance of whips and slaves.
It's not the heat that gets you. Well, it might.
Welcome to Natron. Natron is a colorless salt that was used by ancient Egyptians for food preservation, cleansing products, and glassmaking. It was also used in the mummification process.
Also known as salt, John.
During the ceremonial embalmment ritual, the priests packed the body in natron in order to remove all of the moisture. Once the body was thoroughly desiccated, they could begin the wrapping.
That's from the map. No, it's from RMN Grand Palais. You say du Quai Branly. Well, it's not table salt, but still salt.
Natron was mined in Wadi Natron. The main mining methods involved either cutting slices out of the lake bed when it was dry, or raking through mineral-saturated water to gather the mineral salts during the floods. Both techniques are still used today and inspired the team in their recreation of the mines located in the mountains northwest of Memphis.
So this is a fictional place rather than a historic location. Well, I guess it's easier to say that the pyramids were built by slaves because it is prominent in the Bible, I guess? I don't know. Hi, Johnny. So you mean you can do your own mummification, John? If you so wanted. Without getting expensive natron shipped from...
Whoa.
I know. But if the pyramids were not built by
Don't forget, you can still use
slaves,
photo
that
mode
makes
at
the whole
any
Exodus
time.
thing rather moot. Thank you for the subscription, Colby. You, sir, are awesome. I stole that from Dougie, sorry.
Welcome to the Step Pyramid Complex of Djoser. The Step Pyramid is at the center of an enclosed complex, comprised of
I know,
temples,
Johnny.
models of palaces, and artificial constructions, all built for the afterlife of Pharaoh Djoser. The funeral complex itself covers 15 hectares and is located on the highest point of the Saqqara Plateau. It's clear from the elaborate detail and scale of the complex that this was a technological marvel of its time. The only fragment of information regarding the design plans of the complex was discovered on a section of stone containing an architectural sketch of a vault.
Wait, where? There's no more pyramids here, but there were pyramids on that sketch. Weird.
The Step Pyramid is the first monument built of stone. Standing at 60 meters high, it was the tallest of its time. Built 4,700 years ago, it was originally intended as a mastaba, which was a flat-roofed rectangular tomb. Its famous architect, Imhotep, may have felt this was too humble for the great Pharaoh Djoser, and began to add the steps.
Oh my lord.
The Step Pyramid complex is enclosed within a 1,600-meter long wall that is 10 meters high. This large wall was made out of white limestone
Look at
and
those pandas.
oriented along the north-south axis.
Congratulations, John. I know Colby subbed. I did say that I thanked Colby for subbing. Now I'm thanking Colby for giving John Deere a sub. I do not ignore my chat like others, Johnny.
While there are 14 doors, only its eastern door was intended to accommodate the living. The remaining false doors were built as portals for the King's Ka to pass through. Along with false doorways, the walls were designed with bastions and steeples resembling a defensive wall. The positioning of these design elements suggest that they were related to the Hebset festival.
I'm a bit offended, Johnny. Yeah, I mean John. Sorry, not Johnny.
The only real entrance into the complex is at the end of a long, narrow passageway. This enclosure has a stone canopy carved to resemble wooden logs. At the end of the passage is a large opening. Meant to resemble a doorway, it has carved doors and hinges that are permanently open and immovable.
Well, chat sounds so dirty. Do try.
The corridor is lined with 20 pairs of columns up to 6 meters high, built by stacking stone drums. The completed facade was made to resemble reed stock bundles. Traces of red paint were found on the columns, along with black paint on the support walls. This would have had the effect of blending the walls into the shadows to give the red columns the illusion of standing on their own.
Hi, Dougie. And I know you don't ignore your chat, Johnny. I mean, chat. I'm not saying that. I mean, I choose not to read some things.
Chambers are located on either side of the columns and are thought to be chapels representing the provinces of Upper and Lower Egypt. According to some Egyptologists, the arrangement of the rooms may be symbolic of jurisdiction and judgment.
Why do you have myrrh? Yeah, Punky does occasionally, because he plays Escape from Tarkov, and Escape from Tarkov is a hard game to read chat to because you need to be so involved in the game. Is that ivory? Who's Christ? I thought onyx was black, not white. Hi Paul. Welcome to the stream.
Guarded by a line of carved snakes, this tomb is located at the southern end of the courtyard. The burial chamber is beneath it, down a 30-meter deep shaft. The low-ceilinged chamber resembles a mastaba and is relatively intact compared to the later burial chamber. The tomb is made of pink granite, though there is evidence it was once polished limestone. Too small for a body, it is possible that the tomb was intended for the king's ka, or to hold the canopic jars containing the king's organs. Later traditions in burials would have the canopic jars in the same chamber as the body.
That's cool, I didn't know that, John.
A polished limestone staircase leads west from the tomb to underground apartments. Some of these rooms were intended to accommodate the king and his family in the afterlife. Many large jars of pottery were found, including some that still had deposits of beer, milk, and oil inside them. The false doorways are decorated with reliefs of the king taking part in rituals. In these reliefs, he is seen carrying agricultural tools, running, and performing a ritual for the reanimation of the deceased.
Huh.
The architect Imhotep chose stone as a building material in order for the complex to last. Following the completion of the initial mastaba, Imhotep devised a burial of more ambitious dimensions. He set about stacking mastabas on top of each other. Evidence shows that the pyramid was enlarged twice by additional cuts into the steps, eventually reaching 62 meters in height and 121 meters by 109 meters at its base.
Imhotep, isn't that the mummy from the Brendan Fraser movies? Mummy movies. The Mummy. I played till 3 my time, so 2. Paul. Oh yeah, my mummy.
A staircase allowing the pharaoh to enter the divine world was represented by a tiered pyramid, oblong in shape, completely enveloping the original mastaba. The pyramid itself is a solid structure. All of the chambers and tunnels are beneath the structure.
Huh.
Pharaoh Djoser the Sacred was the founder of the Third Dynasty. He ruled for 19 years. During his reign, he was known as Horus Nedjeriket, divine of the body. He was given the name Djoser several centuries after his death, as a sign of respect, and he is regarded as one of the greatest pharaohs of Egypt. An apocrypha was drafted in his name during the Ptolemaic period, 2,500 years after his death.
So the pharaoh Djoser was not even called Djoser because he was called Horus. Nedjeriket. That makes sense.
Djoser was associated with the sky god Horus in his human form. A plinth near the step pyramid is inscribed with his name and associated with Horus. He was the first to reside in Memphis, making it the central hub of government for the region. Djoser was known to have built many temples and monuments before the complex at Saqqara. The funerary complex was the first of its kind and would mark Djoser's greatest architectural achievement.
Yeah.
The funerary complex was built to resemble Djoser's palace, with the stone carved to imitate mud brick, trees, and reeds. Creating these details and softer textures in hard stone would have been a time-consuming, labor-intensive task. Much of the complex is designed to accommodate the Hebsed festival, allowing the king the ability to affirm his rule even in the afterlife.
That's interesting, John. Oh, hello.
In the corner is a temple referred to as Ti. This temple is among the most mysterious structures in the complex. Its outer facade is plain, while inside it is decorated with intricate jed pillars and carvings. It's possible that this place was intended to be where the Ka of the King materialized, symbolically visiting the platform of the Hebsed courtyard from the afterlife.
It's the temple. They were Irish. The temple. Go over to the temple, Father.
The Hebsed festival enabled the pharaoh to maintain universal order and renew godly powers. Through a series of trials and religious rites, such as dance, offerings, and visiting the sanctuaries of various deities, the ruler's vital force and divine nature was confirmed. The celebration was meant to represent the ruler's jubilee and would take place every 30 years, though the deadline was not always followed.
Oh,
The
look.
earliest known ritual dates from the First Dynasty.
I'm a subscriber to myself. I didn't even know that. Scenes from a king's 30-year jubilee, 4th dynasty. The Met. Ah yes, do the reporting. That would be grand. What the hell are you doing up there, camel? Jesus.
Within the complex of Djoser, southeast of the pyramid, is a dedicated
No, don't shut up,
space for
John.
this
It's
essential ritual to
fun.
be performed by the king even in the afterlife. The Hebsed courtyard is lined with false chapels and equipped with a platform featuring 2 staircases meant to represent Upper and Lower Egypt.
Cool. Red Panda Squad. I have to say again, I am so proud of my emotes. Suck ya. Suck ya.
Located in the courtyard, the 2 pavilions are believed to represent the palaces of Upper and Lower Egypt. Rectangular in shape, the 2 replica structures face one another. Their facade is similar to the chapels of the Hebsed ceremony, with column crowns carved to look like falling leaves.
Cool.
Because Queen Hetep Hernepti and Princess Inetkas's names were discovered on a stela near the pavilions, it is thought that these funerary chapels were intended for them.
Yeah, I was swearing quite a lot, Colby, because I was frustrated with how the internet was behaving. It was really idiotic. I did it once, John, because the game was not cooperating with me.
The funerary temple is on the north side of the complex, facing the stars where the deceased ruler was believed to travel after death. Within this temple was the pharaoh's serdab, or cellar. It is a small, enclosed space with one wall sloped to match the first step of the pyramid.
We do, Jon? Well, I guess you know, you have been around plenty Swedes.
The
Hello.
north wall has two
Oh,
observation
hi.
holes. A statue of Djoser is seated on the throne, wearing a mantle and a tripartite wig with a crown known as a Nemes. Representing the king's ka, this statue looks through the observation holes into the courtyard, enabling the king to observe the ceremonies and receive offerings in the afterlife.
It's a bit... They really don't have a good cleaning service here. I mean, look at those cobwebs. Jesus. They should get some cleaning help from someone. Right, where's the last part? It's down here. Yeah. Well, I've seen they have spiders in this as well. Like as big as the palm of bike.
Welcome to
Pretty
inside Djoser's step pyramid.
Weird.
The architect of the step pyramid, Imhotep, was a man of great importance to Pharaoh Djoser and ancient Egyptians in general. The base of a statue of Djoser, discovered in 1926, celebrates Imhotep as a carpenter, sculptor, stonemaker, and chief of the seers. Little is known of Imhotep's day-to-day life. While he is credited for writing medical texts, it is for his role of architect that he is most famously known.
Is that the theme tune of something, Jon?
From the design of the pyramid to the elements within the complex itself, Imhotep set out to create something that would immortalize his king. An architectural achievement, the step pyramid was made from stone blocks instead of mud brick. It was the first time Egyptians built a monument of that height. Imhotep explicitly intended for the stone to reflect natural materials. The funerary complex of Djoser remained famous throughout the centuries and millennia, and its great architect, Imhotep, was deified by ancient Egyptians during the late period.
Cool. Of course they did. They have done extensive research. Why did it set on fire? It sets on fire.
In addition to the central subterranean palace built for Djoser, 11 wells were dug. Each went to a depth of 33 meters and connected with a horizontal gallery extending for about 20 meters. The first 5 galleries were intended for members of the royal family.
Cool. Are you waiting for a March response, Jan?
Two passages lead underground and branch off in 3 directions to various magazine galleries. This vast underground space accommodated sections for storage and ceremonial offerings. One of the tunnels, starting on the east side of the pyramid, contained 40,000 stone vessels, many of them belonging to the king's ancestors.
You can go in here, can't you? Yes. I remember when I went here in the game, well, this is in the game, but in the story mode, I had no idea where I was supposed to go to get on with the exploration. I think this is a part where I branched off.
The burial chamber of Djoser is located at the bottom of a 28-meter deep central shaft.
Bottom.
According to Egyptologist Jean-Philippe Lauer, the chamber was originally made from polished blocks of limestone, while its ceiling was decorated in 5-pointed stars. At some point, however, the limestone blocks were replaced entirely by pink granite blocks, leaving behind only fragments of limestone blocks decorated with stars.
Interesting. Wonder why. Indeed.
At the foot of the chamber are many tunnels going in all directions. This maze of tunnels, galleries, and chambers stretches over 5 kilometers.
Oh.
There are a number of dead ends and false doors. They may have been intended for the afterlife, rather than to fool thieves.
That's cool.
Unlike the Great Pyramid of Giza, or Menkaure, the Pyramid of Djoser does not have any extra openings dug out by thieves. There was no need for them. Because of the easy access into the tunnels and along the corridors, thieves had little trouble clearing out the temples once inside. It is unknown when the mummy of Djoser was stolen. All that remained was a left foot, found by French Egyptologist Jean-Philippe Lauer in 1934. This architect, who devoted his whole life to meticulously exploring the complex, believed it belonged to Djoser.
Believe what belonged to now? Oh. Left foot. Oh, hello, Mr. Snake. Don't mind me. I'm just... You're not a rattlesnake. No, you're a cobra.
The Pharaoh's apartments, also known as the Blue Chambers, are decorated with blue-green tiles meant to imitate the reed matting that covered the walls and windows of his palace. The stone is carefully curved and painted to look like the rolled mats of open doorways and curtains.
Yeah.
There are two long rooms running side by side along a north-south axis. The south room has false doors separated by stone panels, while the north room is a corridor which allows access to side chambers. Nearby chambers originally housed the pharaoh's treasures.
Hello, Mr. Snake. Come through.
The door frames are made of fine limestone and carved with the king's name. As in the south tomb, reliefs are carved into the doorways. These reliefs show the king performing rituals and visiting divine sanctuaries for all eternity. Their interiors are fictive additions made by the team to add to the wonders of the tomb. It is clear from the elaborate detail and scale of the complex that this funerary monument was a technological marvel of its time.
Cool. Oh, that's nasty. Those are chests of humans.
Don't forget, you can still use photo mode at any time.
Have they announced something, Paul? Or is it? I think I heard rumors that it was gonna be Battlefield. It was gonna be World War II again. Right. Did we do that? I guess we didn't. Which one is closed? I think this one is. Or V as in Victory Day, Paul? I just hope it's not another American Normandy landing. This is boring. The lack of a compass is a little prohibiting. I think I'm going the right way. Okay. It's over there.
Don't forget, you can still use photo mode at any time.
Huh, there's no air gauge, so I guess you can stay underwater indefinitely. Hello, hippo. Oh, no. Sure it hadn't. I'm guessing we're going by boat on this one. Guess there's a boat there.
Welcome to Bringer of Life, the River Nile. The ancient Egyptians called the dark fertile soil of the Nile the Black Lands, and the surrounding desert was referred to as the Red Lands. The dramatic difference of productive land opposed to barren desert had a deep influence on cultural ideology, mythology, and religion.
Men? Bjorn? I don't know. Where's the hippopotamus?
The Nile determined much of Egyptian civilization. For example, the seasonal cycle of the Nile was so consistent that ancient Egyptians created their calendar around it. The flood season, or Akhet, was when the departing floodwaters left arable soil for crops. It was followed by the growing and harvesting seasons, known as Peret and Shemu. These regular seasons, along with abundant wildlife and rich soil, meant that Egypt's denizens were able to nourish themselves and ensure their country's strength in trade.
Oh, so cute, Corey. Looks so slimy. Yeah, they are very aggressive in this game as well, Jon, so I'm not surprised, even though I did know it beforehand though. Yeah, it looked different, must admit.
The River Nile, flowing from the south to the north, neatly traversed through both Upper and Lower Egypt. All of Egypt's major cities were built along this narrow ribbon of life. Protected by mountain ranges and deserts which acted as natural barriers to enemies, and sustained by the Nile's plants and wildlife, Egyptian civilization enjoyed economic and cultural prosperity for over 4,000 years.
Memphis.
Both ancient Egyptians and ancient Greeks referred to the Nile as the river in their respective languages. Stretching a distance of over 6,700 kilometers, the Nile is one of the longest rivers in the world. It flows south to north, spanning 11 countries. The River Nile originates in the region of the Great Subequatorial Lakes, including one of the largest in the world, Lake Victoria, near Tanzania.
Yeah, I know that, John. That's what the Swedish word for hippo is. I mean, hippo is the word horse in Latin. So, the Swedish word for hippopotamus is river horse. We are very literal in that sense. Our hoover or vacuum is also called a dust sucker. Big boat, big boat. Go round it, go round it. Oh, the water effects in this I mean, the sound effect of the water is so nice. I feel cool just hearing it.
The river flows through African equatorial forests, swamps, volcanic lands, steppes, and deserts, splitting apart for a while and picking up various sediments from each region and carrying them all the way to Egypt. Its main artery, known as the White Nile, rejoins with the Blue Nile in Khartoum. This is where it weaves through rich deposits of silt and nutrients, carrying them along in its wake.
Yeah, I would gather that, John. I'll take the cold any day of the week rather than the hot. Wow. 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 I got what you meant, John. Don't worry. Oh, I thought I missed
The
it.
Nile crosses 6 cataracts from the south to the north, creating natural obstacles between the various sections of the river. The cataracts are long zones of about 100 kilometers, where the bubbling and rapidly swirling waters advance tumultuously amid enormous heaps of rocks and benches of hard stone.
Ah, we still have snow here, Paul. Cairo gets sandstorms too, don't they? Or are they too close to the water for that?
It is after crossing Nubia and the First Cataract that the river officially returns to Egypt in Aswan. There are still 1,000 kilometers before it reaches Cairo and the Delta, bringing life to those living on its shores before it eventually empties into the Mediterranean Sea.
These pictures are very nice. Yeah, but you can't that in major cities with a lot of traffic on, where the weather is not as fluctuant as it is in, let's say, London, maybe. You can see the smoke that I can't do, can you?
Ancient Egyptian irrigation and water use was centered around the Nile. However, they also had access to streams and rivers, as well as several large lakes. The Delta, situated at the north end of the Nile, also known as Lower Egypt, is a large irrigated area where the river splits into several tributaries.
Huh. That's cool. Yeah, you would, John, and people would look at you because you would look different. They do that with everyone that's not Asian, actually. No matter what complexion or hair you have. It's not that they don't like having other people there, it's more like fascination. So it wouldn't be like, ugh, he's a ginger. They would be more like, wow. Well, even though there are gingerations, aren't there? They're very rare, but they do exist.
The Delta had several major brackish coastal lakes, bodies of water separated from the sea by thin strips of land. A mix of deep to shallow waters, salt swamps, and sand plains, these lakes were refuge to a wealth of species, as well as water and land plants. The occasional bandit could also be found sheltering within the denser reeds, waiting for the unwary traveler.
The two people that are standing in, one with the bird and the other with the fish sticks or spear, they didn't want to be in the picture, so they had to get their faces censored, evidently. And the one to the left also had a bit of a problem with his elbow, so you need to cut that out. Roy. Damn it, I missed. No, I'm sure I did that. The hell? No, I did flora. Yeah, I know, John. I was trying to be funny. Oh, I can't. Oh boy. I can't boost. That's sad. Oh boy. No, that was a rock, thank God. It's 75 tours of various lengths, Brendan. They range from like 3 minutes to 20, I think. I should go away. I can't boost. I'm so sad. Hi, Jacqueline. Nah. Sorry if I butchered your name there. Jacqueline, maybe?
You can use a mount to cover long
Welcome to the
distances
stream.
quickly.
I bloody well know I can use a mount. Don't want to use a mount. Hi, Bill. Red Panda! Oh, John. You're not wrong, but... Oh, sir.
Welcome to Fauna of Ancient Egypt.
Thank you for the host, Carl. Stratton. Where the hell is the first? It's way over there. It's because we were supposed to look at the creatures. Hello, cow. Moo. 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 Moo.
Both domesticated and wild animals were features in ancient Egyptian bas-reliefs as early as the First Dynasty. While the variety of wildlife served as a reliable food source, it also influenced both culture and mythology.
Rah. 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 Rah.
Egypt's terrain allowed for a diverse range of animals, including panthers, rhinoceroses, elephants, and many variations of antelopes.
Yeah, I really enjoy them too, Jacqueline. Very educational, and a testament on how much research really goes into these games. Gazelle. They don't talk much. I can't even mimic their sound because I don't know how they sound like.
The Nile was home to many species of fish, along with hippopotami and crocodiles.
Look, it's William, the hippopotamus. Oh, there's a crocodile. Have you drawn him, John? Seeing how much you have spent at the Met drawing things. It is a nice animation that Bayek is holding his arms up above the water while treading it. It's a nice touch.
The wide variety of birds that populated the riverbanks, from raptors and waterfowl to songbirds, were all catalogued within Egyptian hieroglyphic signs. Encounters with reptiles and insects, such as cobras, scorpions, and scarabs, influenced hieroglyphs and art.
Indeed. The cobra was a sign of the pharaoh, wasn't it? Those are ibis, I think. There are herons as well, but they are bloody hard to come by. I remember a quest where I needed heron feathers and I went around an hour around Memphis trying to find and kill a couple of them to get feathers. Ridiculously hard to get. Hello, Mr. Goat.
While all animals had sacred meanings, lions in particular represented power and royalty to ancient Egyptians.
Of course.
They were so prized by pharaohs that they were hunted to extinction within Egypt.
Deer. Let's take a good photo. Bayek and the lion. Did you draw that, John? It's really good. Did you draw the lines with the paint or with an ink pen? It's not watercolor, is it? Right, there's nothing else up here that I haven't done. Done all down here, so... down to the... this place then. Brush and ink, yeah. When I do outlines by hand, I use some ink pens. I can't color for shit by hand though. That's why I color in the computer. Yeah, that's how you do it, how it is done. So to say. Right, I think we can go down here, slide our way over the mountains to here, then slide our way back to the pyramid there, and then go to Crocodilopolis. Does that sound like a good plan? I think it does. You can't because it's not allowed, or because you can't really drag watercolors into the museum. No, I want to take a horse this time. Sorry, I'm gonna take this green horse. Oh, he's following me. I gotta take him. I did call him, so... Can't abandon my trusty camel who comes after me. Am I even going the right way? I think I turned the wrong way. Oh, that's cool. Do you have to pay for that, or is it free?
Take your time. I'll wait.
Welcome to Oil in Ancient Egypt.
Oil. Let's learn about how you burn things. I mean...
Castor, sesame, and moringa were the source of the most common oils in ancient Egypt. Oil was used for various purposes: cosmetics, medical treatments, nutrition, perfume, athletics, and rituals, to name a few.
What the hell was happening in the background there?
Use oil as an explosive to add more gameplay opportunities for the player.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that, Jacqueline. It looks awesome for what I've seen of it. Well, explosive they say, I say fiery area of effect. That's a bit bad, John. That should hurt
Ancient
the tourist
Egyptians
business.
originally used castor oil in wick lamps, but also for cosmetics, such as facial and hair treatments. There is mention in some papyrus of castor oil being prescribed to treat constipation and help pregnant women. Castor beans were found in ancient Egyptian tombs as early as 4000 BCE. Castor oil was made by pressing the beans from the plant of the same name.
Some of the museums here in Stockholm are free as well, but you have to pay for the more extensive ones, I think. Like the Natural History Museum, just History Museum, you can get in for free, but everything else is not. The Viking Museum is also free. That was a big ledge to jump off. Isn't ricin a poison? Excuse me.
Olive trees were present, though scarce, in ancient Egypt's early history, and olives were mostly imported from Syria and Palestine. Their use and cultivation remained uncommon until the mass arrival of Greek settlers during the reign of the Ptolemies, when demand increased sharply. Olive trees were normally found in the region of the Fayum and the lands surrounding Alexandria.
And also Cyrenaica, I think. Over to the Fayum. Hopefully it won't take us too far away. Oh, that's probably gonna take us all the way over there, isn't it?
Whoa.
Damn it.
Welcome to the Fayum. The Fayum Oasis is an enormous basin in the western desert that formed from the Nile's overflow. As such, it is not considered a true oasis, though it gives its name to the region, which covers Lake Moeris. The oasis harbors some of the oldest archaeological artifacts of the region, indicating that the area has been inhabited by hunters and gatherers since the Neolithic period.
What kind of tool is this? Looked odd.
The Fayum Oasis drains into Lake Moeris, which was a large freshwater lake, but at some time became a saltwater lake. In the 12th dynasty, ancient Egyptians redirected the water flow with a dam and dug a supply canal using the lake as their reservoir. Irrigation enabled them to continue growing crops of figs, grapes, and olives year-round.
So that's the Fayum. Go get a fig. Don't you have anything pickled? That sounded very aggressive. I don't mean to do that.
Reed boats, feluccas, triremes, and kerkeros were the most commonly found craft within the landlocked waters of Egypt. They were used for various purposes, ranging from daily fishing, trade, warfare, and travel, to the ferrying of massive stone blocks used to build the great monuments of Egypt.
Cool. This looks more like a Greek painting. Now I can boost. No, I can't. Stop lying to me, game. In the picture, yeah. That's alright. R2 does nothing. No boost.
The most impressive pyramids of ancient Egypt date from the Old Kingdom and can be found on the sites of Giza, Saqqara, and Dashur. However, one particularly famous pyramid of the time is located elsewhere. During the Middle Kingdom, some pharaohs chose the Fayum as their final resting place. One such ruler was Amenemhat III. His pyramid left a mark on the imagination of antique chroniclers. They referred to it as the Labyrinth, mostly due to the vast mortuary temple complex at the foot of the pyramid. Herodotus mentioned that he had visited 12 courts and over 3,000 of its chambers. But he was also well known for being prone to hyperbole.
Oh, how far away is this gonna take us? Hopefully not too far.
Amenemhat's pyramid was built with a brick core and covered with stone slabs, designed to be impenetrable. The burial chamber, made out of a single block of sandstone, is unique in its design. Richard Lepsius and Flinders Petrie both explored the pyramid site, measuring 385 meters by 158 meters, and identified it as the location of the labyrinth. Their research conditions were difficult, as most of the site had been submerged by the nearby canal. Furthermore, the stones from the complex and the outer casing of the pyramid had been quarried away long ago. Ubisoft decided to give life back to this lost monument and the many crypts that were said to be devoted to the sacred crocodile god, Sobek.
Pretty... I like this temple thingy more than anything else because it was so intricate. You had to like really... You had to swim underwater for most parts, and it was tricky to get out of it. It was your house, John. I was going to ask, but I didn't dare, in case you would take it down again.
Founded during the 5th dynasty, the site was popular during the 12th dynasty under the name of Shedet. During the Ptolemaic era, the metropolis was named Crocodilopolis by the Greeks, in honor of the crocodile god Sobek. During the Greco-Roman era, the Clearchus, soldiers of the Ptolemies, settled there after their military service and expanded the irrigation systems. Irrigation and water distribution tripled the arable land and turned the city into a lush and rich area. 27,000 inhabitants lived in its precinct at its height. The city's location was strategic in controlling the many small waterways connecting to the main canal, and thus the Nile.
That's some intricate work, John. 14 centimeters. Well, not everything,
The
John.
region's main cult was that
Kappa,
of Sobek
Kappa.
of Shedet,
Kappa.
a divinity associated with water and fertility, both very important to an area that depended on irrigation. Many local villages had the title Town of Sobek added to their official designations. During festivals, ancient Egyptians recited hymns to Sobek, asking for his divine intervention. Greek settlers, and later Romans, would help the Temple of Sobek's economy to flourish by adopting the local embalming mortuary rites. Their sarcophagi were beautifully painted and adorned with amazingly realistic portraits.
That's cool. So they didn't throw everything out. Oh, those sword-wielding bastards. Throwing smoke grenades and shooting arrows.
Very similar to the cult of the Apis bull in Memphis, a living crocodile was worshipped within the precinct of Crocodilopolis' main temple. Known as Sobek to the Egyptians and Sukkos to the Greeks, it was reported by Strabo that priests fed it with meat, wine, and honeyed milk. They covered its body with jewels and gold. After its death, it was embalmed and placed within the crocodile's grotto, alongside thousands of other mummified crocodiles.
What's with that face, John? Oh, great crocodile, eat my enemies and shield me from harm. You want me to jump in here with the crocodile? It's a guard, John. Of course it's wearing clothes. It's not really clothes, it's just something around its neck. It's the living deity of Sobek. Or something. Right, this really wrecks my whole plan of going up here. Guess I can do the Crocodilopolis tour. It's only 7 stations. Then go up here and then proceed back here. I guess. Then we have this. There's not many tours left now. It's just these 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 9, 12, 9, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 1, 2. Only 22 tours left. And that tour is done that way. I see it.
Welcome to Rediscovering Egypt. In the 19th century, the increased intensity of tourism and excavations, as well as the outflow of antiquities to other countries, threatened Egypt's archaeological heritage. Egyptians took part in this destruction by ransacking sites for artifacts to sell, quarrying stones from ancient monuments, and removing sebak, ancient mud bricks, to reuse for their own purposes.
It's a shame, really. Any sort of grave robbing or monument destruction is a shame, because it shows their respect for what we were.
A major step in conserving Egypt's heritage was taken in 1858, when the Viceroy of Egypt created the Antiquities Service. Supported by a team of foreign scholars, Auguste Mariette exerted an iron grip on the service. He carried out his work across Egypt and into Nubia, intervening on almost every major site. Aware of the necessity of keeping unearthed artifacts in Egypt, Mariette requested a museum be created for that purpose in 1858. This museum was the ancestor of the Egyptian Museum.
Cool. That's true as well, Mart, I guess. Yeah, I guess, John. Still, great shame. Huh.
Gaston Maspero, Mariette's successor, expanded and reorganized the Antiquities Service and instigated laws regulating the export of artifacts. French scholars ran the service until it passed into Egyptian hands in the 1950s. As of the mid-19th century, Egyptology was fast becoming a recognized discipline within both private institutions and learned societies. A French architect, archaeologist, and former researcher, Jean-Claude Golvin, now specializes in the artistic reconstruction of ancient cities and monuments. To date, he has created more than 800 drawings, which include 3 volumes focusing on the reconstitution of ancient Egypt. His work is exquisitely detailed and can be found in books and museums around the world.
Oh, it's his pictures we have been looking at all tours. That's cool.
The team was thrilled to collaborate with Jean-Claude Golvin in order to recreate Egypt for the game. In the 19 exclusive watercolors he created for the team, Golvin used scientific data as the base, and then extrapolated to provide a full interpretation of various locations and monuments in ancient Egypt. Both early sketches and fully rendered images were then used by the team as references while building the world of Assassin's Creed Origins.
That's cool. Hello, Lionhead 405. This is the Discovery Tour mode for Assassin's Creed Origins.
Although ancient Egypt's rich religious culture and its mortuary monuments continue to be investigated, the modern discipline of Egyptology has shifted focus. Rather than single-mindedly retrieving impressive artifacts, Egyptologists today focus instead on increasing the body of knowledge. In the past, excavations took place in the field, and while that is still the case today, much of the work on Egyptology now takes place in libraries and archives.
It's an educational mode provided by Ubisoft, which they found while researching the game. That was a weird sentence.
Today, archaeology in Egypt relies on an interdisciplinary approach, where traditional Egyptologists are helped by a wide spectrum of scientists from other disciplines and new, non-invasive techniques. GPS data, satellite imaging, and ground-penetrating radar allow archaeologists to gain a sense of what lies underneath the ground before excavating.
Well, is there any point of doing any archaeology, John? Everything has been, almost everything has been excavated already. See you in a bit, Brendan. Well, we want to talk, John. Seeing as what we are doing right now. Yeah, of course you are. I mean, I didn't mean that to be mean. Sorry. Sorry, John. Sorry. Yeah, they've been quite chill, Colby.
Try using your eagle when you want a top-down view. Welcome to Pyramids of the Middle Kingdom.
I don't think you can enter this pyramid. I think. Maybe you can. Don't remember.
During the Middle Kingdom era, the powerful rulers of the 12th dynasty resumed the tradition of elaborate pyramidal tombs. For example, Amenemhat I built a funerary complex in Lisht, and Senusret II selected the Elahun site in the Fayum. Amenemhat II and Sesostris III, however, cast their favor towards Dashur. Amenemhat III built a pyramid there as well before moving to Hawara in the Fayum. The plundering of tombs in troubled times prompted the architects of the Middle Kingdom to devise increasingly complicated means of security during construction. As such, while the architectural plans of the Hawara pyramid were simpler than the one at Dashur, the means used to protect it from looters were much more elaborate. Beyond the use of blind passages and concealed trapdoors, the architects relied on a system of stone slabs, which were slid into place at the end of construction. These massive stone slabs were meant to permanently block the passageways leading to the funerary chambers.
In order to prevent thieves. He might have said that, I didn't really listen. Smiley face.
The kings of the 13th dynasty began building their pyramids at Masguna, south of Dashur, then moved on to Fayum and Abydos. The kings of the 17th dynasty, however, satisfied themselves with crowning their cave tombs with small pyramids of raw brick. The kings of the 18th dynasty gave up the shape of the pyramid as a royal tomb entirely. They chose a mountain with a pyramidal shape in the Valley of Kings and dug their graves there.
Oh. That's where we're going in the next DLC, which is cool.
It was not until the Nubian pharaohs of the 25th dynasty that kings were once again buried under pyramidal tombs. In fact, today, the area of ancient Nubia, modern Sudan, contains a record number of 220 known pyramids to Egypt's 138. Despite their slow decline in use,
Thanks for the follow, Jacqueline.
pyramids continued to fascinate all and sundry up to the Roman era. They remain to this day a symbol of the religious dedication of the pharaohs and the grandeur of ancient Egypt.
Right. So next we're going to these two. Hello, bird. Oh yeah, I guess that's the closest way. I'm now a bird. Butted.
You can use a mount to cover long distances quickly.
I just used a mount, Terry. Is my voice breaking up again? Sorry, I have no idea what that's because of. I get
building ancient Egypt.
I get sudden breaks in the headphones as well, so I think it's something to do with a connection between the headphones and the controller.
Constructed with bricks made of mud, most ancient Egyptian buildings were not permanent. Only religious temples and funerary monuments were meant to stand the ravages of time. For these very important structures, Egyptians used limestone, sandstone, and harder materials, such as granite, quartzite, and travertine. These heavy stone blocks were so prized that they were often transported from quarries located hundreds of kilometers away. Limestone was common and easy to extract from quarries on the east bank of the Nile. This particular limestone had marine fossils in it, however, preventing it from being easily decorated and polished. Used as the main building material, the structure would then be finished with a finer limestone that was polished smooth and decorated as needed. Limestone was used for the building of the first pyramids, and for most of the religious buildings of the Old and Middle Kingdoms.
Well, everyone has their own taste, and no one really have
Ancient Egyptians
the wrong
preferred
taste.
to use sedimentary rock beds or layers like sandstone and limestone because they were often easier to extract. The common method used to extract stone was the open pit quarry. Stonecutters would find quality stone, shape, and dig it out on site. Open pit quarries enabled many workers to work simultaneously on many blocks, which allowed for better productivity.
Everyone thinks that, John.
Workers would draw a large grid directly on the stone's surface, taking care to leave a space between the blocks. This allowed them to isolate the different blocks and create a trench that would make the extraction easier. Stoneworkers used iron chisels for hard rock and rods or copper tools for softer rocks such as limestone. Removing material between each block created a trench line. In some quarries, that trench was wide enough to accommodate a worker, who would then cut the block entirely on site. For harder rocks like granite, workers cut a series of holes and hammered wooden wedges into them. They then soaked the wood until it swelled and caused the rock to split.
But I meant in, like, when it comes to media as music, movies and games, John, and paintings and art. Not in political opinion or sexual taste or whatever.
The gallery extraction technique was used when the desired rock was buried under layers of rubble. This method was often necessary in order to find the whiter and finer limestone required for a smoother finish. The first step was for the stoneworkers to create an access pit that would allow them to reach the desired wall of stone. Once a wall of quality stone was exposed, workers could then cut out smaller blocks. This pit required a descending platform. Designed like a stairway, it allowed them to free multiple galleries of blocks.
I don't know, John. His art seems very modernistic and also quite disturbing.
To cut the stone, they created a longitudinal kerf, or slit, and then cut the rock at a 90-degree angle. The lower side was determined along the geological layers or by using a horizontal cut. Wooden wedges were inserted in the rock and hammered in. Shock waves were then generated using hammers, fracturing the blocks at the seam. To maintain the stability of these mining pits over the course of quarrying, workers would leave support sections of unexcavated rock.
I remember this place. I think I burned a few people here.
In every quarry, dedicated shrines were established to offer protection for the workers. In particular, Serket, the scorpion goddess, was considered a very powerful deity among quarry workers. Every mine and quarry of ancient Egypt included a scorpion charmer who was said to use magical powers to ward off the dangerous insects and keep the workers safe.
No, I did not burn any cats there, John. That. Bye, Jacqueline. Thank you for coming and following. I appreciate it. Or coming and watching and following. I should stop saying coming.
Oh.
Welcome to Workers and Transport. Whether workers were employed for the pyramid construction or at the quarries, the government supplied food and housing. Workers for the pyramids and royal necropolises were housed in more permanent villages, such as the famous Deir el-Medina. Quarry workers had more temporary lodgings. All skill levels were needed and utilized, from basic work hands to prepare the gypsum, to brickmakers and sand carriers, to skilled stonemasons to shape the blocks.
See, no mention of slaves, John.
Skilled architects and engineers were employed year-round, while support labor were often farmers who worked on the quarries or construction during the Nile's flood season. The basic laborers were hardworking and versatile. Many may have been farmers who joined the construction during the off-season. Hieroglyphs found in the work villages listed assigned job titles.
What word do you hate now, John?
Archaeological research shows that no food was stored or prepared on site, but instead workers received abundant rations of bread, beer, and meat. These rations were taken care of by an administration outside the village. Medical treatment was also available for those who were injured.
What do you? Why do you hate utilize?
While some quarries were close to the Nile, others were located across the desert and required long expeditions. These expeditions were sanctioned by the state. They involved complex logistics and required many participants. Transporting a block by land meant that workers had to overcome the weight and friction of the load. To solve this, they first dug a track in the ground. This path was sometimes reinforced with rails upon which a sled, used to ferry the blocks, would be pulled.
Oh boy. Jingle, juggle, jungle, Jafar.
Whenever possible, blocks were toppled from a higher elevation onto the sled. Workers then poured water onto the clay at the front of the sled, creating a slick surface to more easily move the load. It wasn't until the New Kingdom that animals were used to tow the burden.
Hi, Colin.
During flood season, the Nile was at its largest and deepest, which allowed the transportation of the heaviest and biggest loads.
Hi, Vicky.
Quarries close to the river had troughs dug out to deliver the stones to the shoreline. Harbors and wharfs situated at the river's edge allowed the transfer of materials and supplies. Harbor warehouses accommodated additional stocks of stone so that they were available for the winter sailing season. The Uwadi al-Jarf papyri detail a limestone load intended for the Khufu pyramid that weighed in at 70 to 80 tons, or 30 blocks. One papyrus is a fragment from a foreman's notes taken while working on the Great Pyramid. It details the transportation of limestone blocks from the Tura quarries to the construction site of the pyramid. The other papyri are shipping logs containing archives of the sailors assigned to sail the Red Sea and the Nile.
The Nile, the Nile. And they call it the Nile.
Stone cargo generally weighed 15 tons per boat, amounting to roughly 6 or 7 blocks per trip. For heavier loads such as obelisks, monolithic pillars, or gigantic statues, larger boats were used. These transports are the ones typically showcased on temple walls.
We have been over hieroglyphs, I think, John. I think I did on Thursday morning. Actually, we were in Heraklion and we learned about the Rosetta Stone and how hieroglyphs are both phonetics and alphabetical? I don't know. Something like that.
River transportation was the most efficient way to ferry stone blocks between the quarry and the construction site. Blocks were transported by flotillas of several types of boats. The most detailed illustration of transport by river is a relief of Queen Hatshepsut's barge with an accompanying flotilla.
It's in the English Museum. one of the most visited objects in the British Museum. English Museum? British Museum? The badge in front of Dougie's name is a bit badge, which means he's in second place on having donated bits. It's a bit weird because the top three bit givers, donators, are all 100 bits. I'm sorry, John. I don't remember the names of things. Right. How many do you have left in the daily life? 4. Nothing else here, is there? Over to where? Unmaria. Yeah, that should... Yeah, you're gold now, Dougie. Thank you for the bits. Now, should I have the medallions so they are per week or of all time? If I have a per week, they will always change depending on how many bits people donate. If I have all time, it's like a competition. Like you have to donate more than 100 bits to get somewhere. Hello, doggy. Doggy's on the well. What's wrong? What's wrong, boy? Little Tim is down the well. No, bits are a way of donating rather than giving a large chunk of money. You give like, what is it, a penny per bit?
Welcome to Domesticated Animals of Ancient Egypt.
Yeah. Yeah, but they give me money. I can't complain.
Agriculture and domesticated livestock were introduced 6,000 years ago. Archaeologists have found traces of cattle, donkeys, pigs, and dogs. Dromedary are thought to have been introduced during the Persian invasion.
Oh, shut up. You can't set domestic animals on fire in this. Not that I tried deliberately. Some chickens walk over a patch of flames. They didn't die, so...
Pets were deeply cherished in ancient Egypt. Many illustrations of children often include a pet in the depiction.
Cat figurine. Oh, is Mart shocked? I'm shook, Mart. I'm so shook. Hello, doggy. Hello. I can't pet the dogs, sadly. You can only pet cats. I tried. Doesn't work.
One of ancient Egypt's most iconic animals, the cat, wasn't adopted into their daily life until the Middle Kingdom. Since they were so highly capable of killing snakes and rodents, cats were present throughout every period. However, they only became pets sometime during the Middle Kingdom. Prince Thutmose, son of Amenhotep III, had his cat Tamu laid to rest in its own sarcophagi.
Oh, that's cute. Ipoi and wife receive offerings from their children, substantially restored. Oh, John. That's a good joke. We need a felinal solution. Yandi, pussy lover. What rock have you been hiding under for? What can I do here? Oh, it's just a counting one. Damn. This is also counting one. No, I'm gonna sit down. Just having a wee rest. It's the cats who have the moustaches.
The earliest reference to dogs dates back to 5000 BCE. They were popular pets, as they helped hunters and protected herds. They were closely linked to Anubis, the jackal-headed god. Baboons, monkeys, and even falcons were tamed as pets. Each was mummified and buried with as much ceremony as any family member.
What are you? A mechanical dog? Does that mean that it moves, John? You've seen this. Because it's in the Met. I am inside your face, dog. Let me pet you. I want to pet you. Hello. 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 Look at that face. Cool. Right. That's the desert. It's not really a place to... Thank you for those, Michael. Bollocks. Am I even going the right way? I don't really know. Sorry. Who needs roads?
If you have some time, check out Alexandria. It's one of the greatest cities in antiquity.
Oh, there's a procedural. That's in the game as well, I think. I mean, this is the game, but, you know. How's Meafy holding up, by the way, John? Is her ears cleared out? Or are her ears cleared out? I swear I am good with English. Guess I can go down here. But hearing will come back, won't it? Shame if it won't. Yeah, I'm hoping to. Snake. Oh, that's good. Well, they have to say probably. They can't make promises they can't keep, now can they?
My kingdom for a glass of water?
Oh, that's good. It's always good when they are not as nervous. Hello again, Johnny. Hyena. Yeah, I'm splendid. Trying to traverse the desert on a camel in order to get to the next tour. I hope this is not a cliff. Guess I can take this on mount.
Take your time. I'll wait. It's not like ancient Egypt is going anywhere.
Welcome to Deserts of Egypt.
I hope I can activate this. Yep.
Reaching out on either side of the lush Nile are the harsh, arid western desert and the mountainous Eastern Desert. They cover nearly 94% of Egypt. Each
Oh,
of these
what's
parent
that?
deserts have their own microclimate and contain several smaller deserts with a distinctive fauna and flora. Whale fossils were discovered within the depths of the Sahara. Known as the Valley of the Whales, this location is evidence of the seas which once covered the area.
Cool. Oh, right. They include that in the game. I still have to find the TARDIS fossil. I have no idea where it is.
The White Desert in the northeast of the Sahara owes its name to its white limestone soil, contrasting with the yellow sand. The wind has eroded the rocks of the White
Yeah,
Desert
they
into stone
seem to do that,
mushrooms,
Johnny.
the most famous of which is referred to as the Finger of God. The Great Sand Sea is a large unbroken desert that reaches out through western Egypt and eastern Libya. It is home to a unique geological formation known as Libyan silica glass. The pale yellowish-green material ranges from pebble-sized fragments to glass rocks the size of rough boulders.
That's cool. It's Jackbox or use your words, Johnny. That was a quick tour.
You can use a mount to cover long distances quickly.
I'm on a mount. You little girl. I don't know. I highly doubt it. Can I just follow the road now? No, because I'm in the desert and there are no roads. Ha! Yeah, she just turned around and was curious and therefore turned into salt.
If you have some time, check out Alexandria. It's one of the greatest cities in antiquity.
Stones. I wonder if we're gonna run into a sandstorm. Yeah, it does kind of sound like Sigourney Weaver, Paul. I read your message. Yeah, that was funny. Thank you, camera. You left me with a child, you bastard. I think we're coming up to or passing by the place where the story began of Assassin's Creed Origins.
Don't forget, you can still use photo mode at any time.
Yeah, we just passed it over there. I think.
Whoa.
Yeah. Should I take it on a mount? Can I take it on a mount?
Welcome to Siwa.
Well, if being gay is a sin, we're already doomed.
The Siwa Oasis is in the western desert of Egypt. Geographically, the Siwan Oasis is located in a depression 20 meters below sea level. Its natural springs and warm climate aided in the bountiful production of date trees. Though clearly influenced to some degree by Egyptian and African culture, the area's isolation resulted in a unique society and language. While they worshipped the same deities, Siwan temple architecture differed from traditional Egyptian temples.
32 viewers and I declared that being gay is a sin. That's lovely. I don't think so, really, but...
Old Kingdom Egyptians referred to the oasis as cauldron, due to its unique geographical structure. Oases were crucial for nomadic tribes and caravans. Without them, there was no chance of survival in an otherwise harsh landscape. As such, oases quickly became hubs for trade, as well as areas of political control.
Siwa is this place still, right? Must be. Now I could dismount and do stuff, but I don't feel like it.
Because of the dry climate, there is very little rainfall to sustain the oases. Instead, underground rivers flood the natural basins. Since many oases have a north-south orientation parallel to the Nile, some geologists suggest they were once tributaries of the mighty river. There is evidence that ancient Egyptians attempted to create some oases. Libyan oases are the best known, as they are geographically and culturally linked to the Nile Valley and the Delta. These western oases have a distinct geology from the other regions of Egypt. The most famous and important oases are Karga, Dakhla, Farafra, Baharia, and Siwa.
Huh. Oh, that's clouds, isn't it? I thought it looks like a painting. Doesn't it? Looks like brush strokes. It must be. Right? This cannot be a... Oh, it is. Well, religion is not really on the table, Colby.
The Spring of the Sun is one of many thermal sources in Siwa, with the particularity that Cleopatra would have bathed in this one, giving it its name. The presence of the source beneath was attested already by Herodotus during the 5th century BCE, when the oasis was called Amuneion by the Greeks of Cyrene. Oracles predicted the future, delivered omens that could be more or less obscure, and offered divine guidance. The Siwan Oracle was considered one of the 3 greatest of the ancient world, alongside the oracles of Delphi and Dodoni. Because of the Greek colonies in Cyrenaica, the temple associated Zeus with the worship of Amun.
Whoa.
It is no wonder that Alexander the Great made the perilous journey to Siwa in order to consult the oracle, emulating the actions of mythical heroes such as Hercules and Perseus. This action earned the approval of the oracle, who validated his claim as Pharaoh of Egypt. He was confirmed as the son of Amun, conferring upon him the most legitimate claim to date of all Egypt's foreign invaders.
Cool. Alexander the Great as Pharaoh, Karnak, Temple of Amun. Musée de Quai-Branly. Cool, cool.
The powerful and the rich would send gifts or travel great distances in order to ensure their good
said that, John.
by gaining the blessing of the Oracle of Siwa. Every successful blessing only increased the soothsayer's prestige. Runner Eubotus, a famous citizen of Cyrene, consulted the Oracle in order to know if he would win the 93rd Olympic Games race in 408 BCE. He did, enhancing the standing of the Siwan Oracle in the process. The Temple of the Oracle of Amun was built in the 6th century BCE by Pharaoh Amasis. In the game, its entrance is guarded by ram-headed sphinxes, the animal representing Amun. They were inspired by similar statuary located at the British Museum. Another option would have a Greek-influenced representation of Zeus Ammon, a human-headed sphinx with horns. This representation of Zeus Ammon was very popular in Siwa.
That's cool. Let's do the... Yeah, it's right in front. Who's that, John? They might have, but I can't remember.
Welcome to Ancient Egyptian Hieroglyphs. Hieroglyphics were used as sacred writing, appearing on monuments, statues, and sacred papyrus texts. The earliest symbols that resemble hieroglyphs were on pottery dating back to 4000 BCE. This stylized form of signs and drawings was the only writing used from its ancient origins to the end of pharaonic history. Ancient Egyptians referred to hieroglyphs as the writing of the gods.
No, I don't think they have.
Considered a difficult language, it was intended for pharaohs, nobility, and priests, and meant to be used in ceremonies, within tombs, and for government records. Since few Egyptians were able to read the ancient hieroglyphs, the mythological aura around the language was persistent, even in their own culture.
And look, John, a painted statue or figurine.
The structure of hieroglyphs offers insight into Egyptian culture, not just in what the translations say, but in the structure of the symbols themselves. They were found on tomb walls, on sarcophagi, on statues, and on pottery, and were meticulously recorded in countless ancient papyri.
Doesn't sound that impossible, John. Not at all. Sound very feasible.
In many temples, priests would perform rituals and daily offerings. These were accompanied by hieroglyphs used as spells. In tomb paintings, the hieroglyphs are represented with formulas to recite. These spoken words were meant to be spells which would allow the deceased to benefit from the offerings for all eternity. Spells and offerings were also written for the living, to enhance medicines and cure illnesses.
Yeah. Is it because of the paint or because of vandalism?
The most famous of ancient Egyptian documents is the Book of the Dead. Written in hieroglyphs and hieratic texts, it depicts important spells and rituals. These spells were intended to ensure a smooth transition from life to death and allow the deceased to safely navigate the perils of the afterlife.
Well, it's hard to know, Johnny. If there are evidence that supports that, then That's probably how it was.
Even after it was deciphered, the reading of hieroglyphs remained difficult at times due to the many directions in which they can be read. Depending on the orientation of the signs, hieroglyphs can be read left to right, right to left, horizontally or vertically, though never bottom to top.
Yeah. Going from bottom to top is a very difficult thing to do. Kappa.
A clue on which way to read is to first notice which direction the figurative signs are facing. If a pictogram is looking to the right, then the reader is meant to start from the right and read towards the figure. Column text on a papyrus begins from the right, then goes top to bottom for each column. Text written on tomb walls resembles the structure of a page from a comic book.
Huh.
The text can be placed in front, behind, or above the character, and its symbols look in the same direction as the character. Another clue is that the name of a god or hieroglyphs meaning gods or kings are always written before the descriptive text.
Well, of course you have, John. You're versatile like that. Lucky bastard.
Compared to alphabetical languages, Egyptian hieroglyphs have more symbols. Confronted with the absence of vowels, the Egyptians invented a category of signs. When placed at the end of words, these signs help inform its meaning. For instance, a drawing of a lion will refer to a lion and also relate to the abstract concept of a lion as something dangerous or powerful.
Not brave, then. Boom.
Middle Egyptian hieroglyphs contained a little more than 700 signs. By the
Damn.
end of the Greco-Roman period, there were 10,000 signs.
Damn.
Egyptologist Sir Alan Gardner created a list classifying common hieroglyphic signs and their variants.
Oh boy. That's a lot of hieroglyphs. "10,000 signs." Oh, this is Hieroglyphs Short Part 1. This is not even its final form. Oh boy. Oh boy.
Ancient Egyptian languages have many similarities with Asian and African languages. They have evolved in similar ways to the various forms of written Egyptian. These languages belong to the Hamito-Semitic group. There were 5 clear evolutions in the Egyptian language, each with their own distinctive structure. These languages are known as Old Egyptian, Middle Egyptian, Late Egyptian, Demotic, and Coptic. Coptic is the only living language that allows linguists to define the vowel structure and to distinguish different dialects. While hieroglyphs and hieratic script give us an idea as to how the ancient Egyptian language was structured and written, the way it was spoken is still up for debate. The team opted for English as the spoken language, with the characters using ancient Egyptian and Greek words and accents. The language that is spoken in the background by the crowds is largely based on Sir Alan Gardner's Egyptian grammar. To help resurrect a dead language, we consulted Egyptologists and dialogue coaches to establish our target sound, and cast actors with Arabic, Hebraic, and African backgrounds to bring the game to life.
Cool.
Sava Wenofe, Hers Semnecheru, Swater Hien, Terash Sejemesne.
Well, beer was an important part of the Egyptian culture, wasn't it? So it's not that difficult to
After Alexander the Great's arrival in Egypt and the establishment of
imagine.
his reign, Greek became the language used by the governing bodies. The inability to read hieroglyphs caused resentment among the Greek population. It's from this tension that the Rosetta Stone was created.
Surely it must be more than just one Rosetta Stone, though. Because you can't imagine everyone learning a different language in just one stone. Only one stone kind of survive, but should be more than one.
The spread of Christianity ended pharaonic culture and resulted in the destruction of its pagan monuments. This also marked the end of hieroglyphic writing and understanding.
Oh, Bing. No, this is a part that is not in the real history. That counts. What time is it? It's 5 here. And it's 2 tours left here. Oh, was the only one left of the... No, there's one more. Wait. Oh, there. I think I'm gonna do these 2 tours. And then I'm gonna call it quits for the day. What do you mean, oh no, your boyfriends, Janabob? What is this? Ah. Funhouse. Funhouse. In the middle of the fun. Well, some of them are pretty hot, John. I
Well,
mean,
it might, if the miles and miles
John
of endless
and
barren
Johnny.
desert without water don't first.
Welcome to Ancient Egyptian Medicine. Evidence of advanced medical procedures have been found on mummies, and ancient Egyptians left detailed medical writings from diagnosis to follow-up treatment. One of the oldest known surgical studies is the Edwin Smith Papyrus. It's one of the first documents in history that notes an association between the integrity of the brain and cognitive functions, including cases of ocular complications and paralysis following head trauma. Vinegar-treated marble stone from Memphis was used as an anesthetic.
They used marble stone as an anesthetic. Does that mean they hit them over the head? What's this?
Another similar document, the Ebers Medical Papyrus, is over 20 meters long and 30 centimeters wide. It details treatments of 48 surgical cases and contains 877 paragraphs describing various diseases. Alongside accurate and factual scientific approaches, the papyrus has more than 700 magic formulas and incantations to ward off demons and disease. This demonstrates how ancient Egyptians believed in a harmonious balance between religion and science.
Okay, thank you, John. It seems so weird.
Remedies were considered as medicine and carried by doctors and priests. Village doctors often had another job alongside their medical duties and the preparation of medicines.
Duties.
A cure for blindness was made of fermented honey, ochre, and coal. The science behind it was that honey functioned as an antiseptic and antibacterial, while ochre would reduce the swelling. All of their knowledge did not always suffice. Ramses II died of an infection caused by an abscessed tooth.
Huh. Ointment. And now we have the last Siva one. Who's Dr. Sias? There you are. Why won't you go faster? Seriously? I can run faster than this.
Don't forget, you can still use photo mode at any time.
It's not a dromedary, it's a camel.
Welcome to Osiris, the first mummy. The oldest mummies recovered date from the Old Kingdom, though Egyptologists believe that mummification was in use much earlier than that. At first, the body was mummified through environmental desiccation, by leveraging the dryness of the environment and the heat of the climate. Early experimentations in mummification were conducted with the use of resin made from tree sap. Strips of linen were only used on some superficial parts of the epidermis of the hands or jaw.
We've seen this picture before.
Ideologically, the will to preserve the body is not explained in any way until 3600 BCE. This is when the Egyptian belief that the body housed the soul was finally documented for modern Egyptologists to eventually decipher. It was not until the arrival of the myth of Osiris in the Egyptian religion around the 5th dynasty that mummification was thoroughly conceptualized. The practice was thereafter grounded in both a mythological and ideological point of view. Osiris was mainly known as the god of the dead and the god of resurrection. The most well-known Genesis myth concerning Osiris is that of his dismemberment.
Statues of Osiris. It was dismembered by Set, wasn't it?
It is Plutarch who gives the most simplified and complete summary of the story. Within Egyptian mythology, Osiris represented the first king to rule Egypt. Jealous of his power, his brother Seth attempted to usurp his throne. After several unsuccessful attempts, Seth succeeded in killing his brother by dismembering him and scattering the pieces of his body all over Egypt. Isis, the Great of Magic, traveled all over Egypt in search of the pieces of her husband's body. After a long search, she recovered all the pieces save for his manhood, as it was eaten by a fish.
All the pieces but his penis.
Isis then reassembled the body of her husband by binding it together with strips of linen. Aided by her sister Nephthys, another powerful magician, they gave Osiris the breath of life. This not only brought him back from the dead, but also allowed him to recover his virility long enough to impregnate Isis, thus ensuring his succession before, once more, dying. Thus Horus was born.
And Isis and Horus is pretty much like... not really. But this statuette resembles the statues of the Virgin Mary and Jesus, doesn't it?
The ritual used to bring Osiris back to life essentially depicts how he became the first mummy. It is why, on the sarcophagi of kings, we often find Isis and Nephthys represented as the magicians who restore life to the deceased.
So this is consumers offering Poracti, Osiris, Isis, and Nephthys. Right. I think this is not here in the main game. I think it's not as much details or stuff of sarcophagi. Right. That's me done for the day, actually. I think. I've been going live for 3 hours, 15 minutes. So let's see if there's anyone else live. Actually, Tonks is live, so... could possibly raid him.
Take your time. I'll wait. It's not like ancient Egypt is going anywhere.
Raid. Yeah, thank you all for coming, and those who followed, thank you very much. It's deeply appreciated. Everything you watching me is deeply appreciated, and everyone who subbed. Thank you very much for that, because that gives me money. Yeah, thank you all. I'm now issuing a raid. You may follow if you want, don't if you don't want to. It's a nice boy. So anyway, yeah, it's taking a long time. Thank you guys for watching. See you in another stream sometime. Bye.